Alright, now we trim the tenderloin. Again, that fat here is just attached with tissue, so we peel that off a bit. And then take a sharp knife, cut along here. There's a little bit meat in here. We don't throw that away. That goes into the trim. Garbage. Too much fat goes in the garbage. You see, otherwise you just end up with a lot of fat in your sausages or in your ground burger. If you like that sort of thing, that's fine. I don't. I like medium. Alright, so now we take another knife and fillet off that silver skin. A sharp knife, pointed knife like this is perfect for that. You stick it gently under here, trying just to get that silver skin. Don't poke it downward into the tenderloin. Just here, and just like you would fillet the fish, you turn the blade slightly up and slide it along. If the knife is sharp, you just slightly cut, like so. That's what you end up with. Same thing, you turn the knife around, blade slightly upward, you just pull it on. And there it is. And so we continue all the way till all the silver skin and the dried up stuff is gone. And we end up with a nice tenderloin underneath. In my spirit, I already can taste how beautiful this will turn out when it's cooked. No, there's a bit here. And then here, this is called the string. Some people leave that on. I cut it off. I have no use for it. It's quite tough, so I don't want this. I clean it up a bit, just like that. Just peels off. If you have a sharp knife, everything just peels off. And we trim it a bit, straight cut here, that goes in the trim, square it up a bit here. Alright, and that's going to be ready to be cut into steaks, which I'm going to do now. Okay, now we're ready to cut that into steaks. And for this I'm going to get my Victory steak knife. There we go. And I like them not too thin, I don't like them too thick either, so about 1.5 inch for me is what I like. Just straight down, straight down. Cuts like butter when they're aged like this. Oh, there's 2 people, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beautiful tenderloin steaks. There you have it. Alright, and now we're going to separate the hip from the loin. And I forgot to mention before, if you like, you could have the tenderloin in here and then cut through here and make T-bone steaks, but we don't want T-bone steaks, we want New York steaks. And then you would be left with a stump of tenderloin which you can turn into steaks or leave it as a roast. If you wonder about the names I use for the meat cuts, they're Canadian meat cuts. Elsewhere they call things different. For example, the hip is also called sirloin butt and many other names. So anyway, right here where the tail ends, you see that's a spinal column and that's a tailbone. So we cut right through here. So that, and then this is the loin and this, so the last joint from here, the last joint, that's where we're going to cut down with this. I use the saw. Goes a little bit quicker than with the knife. And there we are. I never cut through the whole thing with the saw because that's not so very good for the meat, just with the bone, and then I use the knife to separate the rest. And there we go. That's going to be the hip, which we're going to process later. I'm going to process the New York steaks. Beautiful beef. For a grass-fed one, that's very nice. Yeah. So now we're going to process the loin section, but first we're going to clean a bit. Cleanliness in a butcher shop is next to godliness. Always keep it clean, your work surface. So what I'm going to do now, that's the spinal column, like I said. So with the saw, I'm going to cut this part off. Makes it a bit easier to debone. So we go to the saw here. It's going to be a little bit noisy around it. And I don't want to cut too deep, so I go right with the saw about here to take just that part of the bone off. You want to keep it at that angle. If you go flatter, you cut into the muscle. Oh, just like that. And now what we ended up with is the backbones here. Whoever split that made a little bit of a bad job of splitting. There's just barely any bones left. And what we left with is with these little buttons. They're called, they come out, and the feather bones come out, and there's a couple of ribs to come out. So first we take out these little buttons here. Again, always make sure you just work with the tip of the knife. Yeah. Just like that. Loosen up.
I'm going to go closer.
Just like this. Poke the tip of the knife in and feel with the knife tip the bone underneath and follow around it. Oh. If you have a razor sharp knife, then the knife does all the work. You just guide the knife, so you don't have to apply any big pressure or anything. If your knife is blunt, you have to apply a lot of pressure, and that's when you're liable to cut yourself. Like I said, you just guide the knife. There's just a bit dried out meat that I take off here, because there's no bone. There should be bone, but there isn't, because whoever split that beef didn't split it all very nicely around the middle, the way it's ought to be done. So I take a little bit of excessive fat so you can see it. So these are these feather bones here. They go all up to here. And what we do, we just see the knife, put it right under here. Again, just like we did with the tenderloin, put the blade slightly upward and just cut along the bone here. See how cleanly that comes off? Like this. And move on to the next. Lift it up. Turn the blade a bit upward over the bone and just gently cut along. Like I said, in real life, that goes much faster. So with meat on it, we salvage that. We try to salvage as much as possible. So, like I said, in real life it's faster. But here, I don't want to show how fast I am. I want to show how it's done. So you can learn from it. Well, like this, that's okay. And the next. just like that. That's a short stumpy here. The last one is always the shortest one. And now we come to the ribs. So we, on either side of the rib, we cut along here. Go with the knife under, lift the rib up, and drag the tip along the back of the rib. And look how clean that comes out. No trimming to be done. If you hurry up and you don't, you spend forever cleaning bones. That way you save yourself an extra chop that's not needed. So it's better to work slow if you start, and you still will be faster than hurry up and have a lot of bone trimming to do. To cut this trim off here, because that's all dried up. That doesn't make good eating. It doesn't, I don't even put that in the ground beef. Yeah. When I process livestock like this, it's, I always think, would you eat that? No, it goes out. Yes, it goes into the trim box. I only give to my customers and clients what I personally would eat, to would be confident to eat. If not, it goes away. All right, so the bones are all out. Now we need to clean it up a bit. There's a big, if you bring the camera a bit closer, there's a big fat tenon running all the length of the back here, so we're going to cut that out. You can see it here, so we just stick the knife under here in, and again just slide it along. See how it comes off here a little bit more. Oh, and then here that we trim off, because that's all dried up meat. It just happens if you dry age them, so it's quite a considerable chunk here. You have to cut off, because it also has to be straight, and so sometimes you have to cut more off than you would like. But that little bit is good. That goes in the trim, that goes in the garbage. If you have dogs at home, you can take that home and cook it. So now we clean that up a bit.
For the dogs.
For the dog, that's right. Oh, this is ready to be cut into steaks a little bit. Square it up a little bit here. My steak knife. Alright, again, I like them like 1 inch, so about here, and just keep cutting. It's no big science, just straight down. Make sure, again, I always keep saying that razor sharp knife, because they make the job so much easier. If you work with blunt knives, your arms will hurt at the end of the day and you're tired. There we go. Count them, because I need an even number of steaks. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, one more. 12. Oh, I could get another one out of here, but like I said, I want to straighten up. That goes into the trim. And that's what they look like. Ain't it beautiful, eh?
Yummy.
Yummy, yummy, eh? Now we're on to the hip section. This one too, you can make a roast out of the hip, or you can make steaks. We make steaks out of this one. So the bone, there is a little bit of the feather bone on, and the hip bone is like a big shovel. So we're going to cut along the outside and then peel it out. That's how it's going to work. First I'm going to pre-cut, because the tailbone, the hip shovel, that's all together. So you see when it comes out, it's quite a big bone. But so I prepare a bit ahead. I'm cutting back here into the tailbone, right all the way down to the bone. See, that's the bone here from the tail. Here will be the tail then. When I cut right down here all the way to the bone. And the same over here. It comes along here, so I cut with the tip of the knife around the bone. See, the knife fills the bone and I just go around it. Just like that. And again, not too deep, and take it slow, because under here is an expensive cut of meat and you don't want to cut that. So now I'm gonna, the hip bone runs, you can't see it, but I do it long enough so I know where it goes, runs along here. And I'm gonna, right along here, run the knife tip along the bone, run it under the bone here, and it goes away this round around here. No? Run. So again, just the tip, you can hear the knife scraping along the bone tip. And then under here the bone gets quite thick, so I have to cut around it. No, you can stay on this side. No, goes around it like that and comes back up again. And so there we are. Now it's scored. Everything is scored. All I have to do now is peel the bone out. And the way we're going to do that, I keep up here. You can see the bone here, and all I do is with the tip of the knife scrape along that bone. Scrape along that bone. And keep scraping along the bone. And then we come to the tailbone. So where we scrape we cut along. And under. Peel it down, and you see now it comes off, just like that. Oh, and there it is. There's a bit meat in here, so we clean that a bit off. It goes into the trim for sausages and ground beef, just like that. Back here a bit, because the bone here goes under here, so I'm going to cut in here a bit. That's the only bone I basically need to clean, and I probably even could prevent that by cutting out this last section first, but that's just, it goes quicker that way than fiddling around with that last bone to get it out.